You're missing a golden opportunity. She's given you the green light, but you're hesitating because you think it's all an illusion. You think you're being respectful, but you're ruining the atmosphere. And the sad truth is, most men hesitate when they're waiting for a woman to make the first move. You feel anxious when you expect her to take the lead. Don't assume, don't doubt. I'll show you exactly how to recognize the biological signs that indicate she's interested and ready to distance herself from you. You need to understand the difference between learned socialization and genuine interest. When a woman is merely friendly, she's following social conventions. She maintains a respectful distance. Her movements are measured. Her speech is clear. But when you move away from her, her nature kicks in. Her logic and nervous system kick in. She stops acting socially and starts acting naturally. The signals become subtle. And if you wait for her to say, "Come on, kiss me now," you'll wait forever. This leads us to a fundamental psychological concept you need to understand: indirect communication. This is how attraction actually works. A woman won't explicitly ask for a kiss. Why? Because her attraction to you is based on a story. She wants to feel connected to you, that it happened spontaneously. If she asks you for a kiss, it will ruin the magic of the moment. This forces her to take the initiative in her relationship with her partner. More importantly, she must protect her dignity. If she expresses her feelings and receives no response, she can feign affection, thus saving face. However, if she makes a verbal advance and is refused, this is a definitive rejection that she cannot ignore. So she's giving you space. She's waiting for the opportunity, the silence, the view, the pause. She's testing your understanding. She wants to know if you have enough emotion to feel what she feels without words. This isn't a game she's playing to hurt you. This is how human relationships work. She shows her interest and comfort not through direct statements, but through body language. Once you learn to read these positive biological signals, you'll never doubt that moment in the car. She knows exactly when to lean towards you. Let's look at the first two signals, which occur completely subconsciously. The most important sign is something 90% of men miss because they're too focused on her lips. They're fixated on the target, but the real signal doesn't come from her mouth. It comes from her lungs. I call it silent breathing. Here's the biological explanation. When a woman is attracted to you and senses the possibility of physical attraction, perhaps because you've recently been close or because the conversation has become monotonous, her body responds by releasing adrenaline. It's an automatic response. You can't control it. Adrenaline immediately affects her breathing, shifting her breathing pattern from a regular, relaxed cycle to shallow, labored breathing. Pay attention to the area around her upper body and collarbone. Does her breathing change when she bends over, even slightly? Does it seem to pause for a moment? This subtle, almost imperceptible change in her breathing is a positive biological signal. This is called predictive ability. Her body literally prepares itself for what's to come. If she weren't interested in or comfortable with your presence, she wouldn't hold her breath. She'd remain shallow or lean back to create more distance. But what about that subtle change in her breathing? A change you might not even notice? It's her nervous system's response. She's waiting for the right moment. If you take a deep breath, don't ask. Move slowly and observe her reaction. If she approaches, that's your answer. But perhaps you missed it. Perhaps the place was too noisy. This brings us to the second sign, and if you know what to look for, it's impossible to miss it. This is what I call breaking the touch barrier. But we need to be clear here because most men interpret friendly touch as romantic interest. We need to talk about personal space. In psychology, it's the study of how people use distance. Everyone lives in their own world. We have our social space for people we know, our personal space for friends, and our intimate space for loved ones and family. This intimate area extends about 6 inches from our bodies. It's a sacred space. When a stranger or even a close friend enters it uninvited, we don't feel threatened or uncomfortable. We simply recoil. And here's the challenge. When a woman is interested in you, she doesn't enter your intimate area randomly. She does so with a very specific purpose. She's not hugging you. Those are just social cues. No, she's engaging in what evolutionary biologists call courting behavior. Think about a previous date. Has she ever reached out and tugged a strand of hair off your shoulder? Has she ever reached out and adjusted your shirt collar? Has she ever smoothed your hair or your tie? Most men respond to this by either remaining quiet or saying thank you, thinking she's helping them. You're completely wrong. She's not helping. She's asserting her territory. In the animal kingdom, grooming is an intimate ritual between partners. It's an age-old way of saying, I'll take care of you because you're mine. By adjusting your collar, she's found a socially acceptable excuse excuse to grab you in a sensitive area around your neck and upper body and simultaneously penetrate your 45 centimeter vulva. She's testing the waters. She's watching you to see if you'll pull away. If you stand by and let her, you're implicitly consenting to her intimacy. You've crossed the line of physical contact. Think about how much confidence it takes to do that. She has to reach out, enter your personal space, and touch you under the guise of fixing something. If she didn't want to be around you, she wouldn't have put her hands on your head. She feels safe in her personal space. If you ever notice a woman adjusting her clothes or staring directly at you while taking something off your shirt and you don't react immediately, you may have missed an important signal. You missed a moment of vulnerability and emotional connection. You simply said, "I didn't see you that way." When you hear this, you'll likely regret this mistake. But don't worry, the following signs are more subtle, and the fourth sign will change your perspective on eye contact forever. Now, things become tangible, but in a way that completely transcends our conscious awareness. We move from the external world to the internal environment. The third sign is what psychologists call conscious focus, specifically on the mouth area. You may have seen it in movies, that strange habit of biting your lip. But in reality, it's not that simple. It's a subtle movement, a very small one. You'll notice her quickly touching her lips when she speaks, or gently biting her lower lip when she listens. Here's the biological aspect you need to understand. She's not doing it to look attractive to you. She doesn't do it intentionally. Her brain sends signals to her body that adrenaline is affecting her sexual desire. But more importantly, she's subconsciously preparing herself for touch. This is physiological preparation. Her body knows something is about to happen before her conscious mind allows it. But this gesture has another meaning that reinforces the first. Pay attention to her hair and neck area. Notice when she pushes her hair aside, revealing her neck and shoulders. In evolutionary psychology, the neck represents a vulnerable point, an emotional space. When a woman shows her neck to a man, it's an early sign of trust. She's essentially saying, "I feel safe enough to touch you." When you see the touch of her lips, then the movement of her hair and the tilt of her neck, it's a natural invitation. She's clearing the way for you. She's removing physical barriers, hair, clothing, distance, to give you open space. If the third point is about preparation, the fourth point is about achieving the goal. You've probably heard this before, but I assure you, you're looking at it from the wrong angle. It's called the triangle gaze. Most men believe that eye contact is simply about looking into the other person's soul. It's powerful, no doubt, but it's not romantic. Love has a specific geometric pattern. Here's how it works. When we meet people at social events, we look into each other's eyes and scan the upper part of the face. But when attraction begins, the gaze narrows. Her eyes move from your left eye to your right, then to your lips, and then back to your eyes. She's drawing a triangle. Why is this happening? This is called aiming. Her mind is focused on your mouth because she wants to meet you there. She's measuring the distance precisely. She's thinking about time, and her eyes follow that thought. But here, you must be careful. Don't stare at her like a hawk, waiting for her to lower her eyes. It's intimidating and ruins the atmosphere. Use your peripheral vision and relax your focus. You'll notice her more when she's quiet and talking. You're speaking, and suddenly she lowers her eyes. It happens in a split second. It's a very quick movement. If you do it once, it's a disaster. What if you do it twice? It's not a disaster. And it's not determination. And if it stays in your mouth for more than a second, that's a clear sign. It's telling you, "I'm looking for you." Combine the triangular vision with the subconscious sign number 3, and you have a 99% chance of success. The signs are clear on her face. But despite these signals, the men are still puzzled. Why? Because they don't know what will happen next. They see a triangle, they see their lips touch, then she hides. She falls silent, she stops talking, and the man thinks, "Ah, I misunderstood." Before we move on to the final sign, the one that destroys potential relationships more than any other, we need to look at the fifth sign. This is your biological lie detector. It's the only sign on this list that you can't control, even if you tried. The fifth sign is pupil dilation. You've probably heard that pupils dilate in dim light. That's true. But in the context of attraction, something even more exciting happens. When we see something we find attractive, whether it's delicious food, a pile of money, or someone we find attractive, our sympathetic nervous system responds. Our pupils dilate to allow more light in. Why? Because your brain tries to absorb as much visual information as possible about what you're looking for. So look at her eyes, not just the color, but also the dark center. If you're in a dimly lit bar, this gives you a margin for error. But what if you're in a normal setting and her pupils are noticeably larger, making her eyes appear more open and expressive? Are oxytocin and dopamine being released in her brain simultaneously? You can fake a smile, you can fake a laugh, but you can't fake dilated pupils. That's a physiological indicator of your eyes' reaction to what they see. But even with dilated pupils, even with her biting her lip, even with the touch barrier broken, most men still fall for it. They fall because they hit a wall of silence. This brings us to signature number 6, change, the turning point. Signature number 6 is a meaningful pause. Listen carefully, because you've made a mistake before. I want you to go back to the time when you were together. The conversation stops. You no longer have a story to tell. The laughter stops. Suddenly, silence. What do? If you're like 99% of men, you panic. Your mind will say, suddenly, this is awkward. Say something. Make a joke. Ask her about the cat. Do anything to break this silence. You feel the tension rising in the room and you interpret it as bad. You think time is running out. Thinking she's bored, she opens her mouth and starts stammering, filling the air with nervous chatter. In that moment, she ruined the atmosphere and the relationship she'd carefully built. Here's the truth that will change your love life forever. That silence, it wasn't difficult. It was meaningful. It was filled with anticipation. It felt heavy because it was waiting for something to happen, a moment of connection. When a woman wants to take action, she stops talking. She creates a gap. She creates an empty space. Why? Because words are a barrier to communication. You can't meet someone while talking about your job, and you can't make progress in a relationship while arguing about politics. To move to the next stage, the verbal channel needs to be shut down to make room for physical contact. Think about it logically. What would you do if you felt uncomfortable or didn't want to take any action? You would talk. She was the one who filled the silence herself. She created a verbal shield. She talked about the weather, about her friends, about her schedule, about everything that made the relationship friendly and platonic. Noise is a barrier. Noise keeps you in the friend zone. But when you're quiet and you make eye contact and you don't answer the phone, she doesn't look around the room. She gives you her time. She sits with you in that atmosphere, waiting to see if you have the confidence to handle it. She observes you. Does he have the confidence to be with me and support me, or will he succumb to the pressure and make a lame joke? She wonders. And as she quickly fills the silence with words, she says, I'm not comfortable with this relationship. I can't stand his intensity. This reveals a lack of confidence. You're showing her that you need constant verbal reassurance to feel safe. So the next time there's a moment of silence and you see her pupils dilate, you'll see her looking at your lips. Don't say a word. I repeat, don't say a single word. Stop your internal dialogue. Is this feeling growing stronger? It's just the energy of the moment. Hug them. Let there be silence for 3, 4, or 5 seconds. Observe their reaction. If they stay by your side, if they don't look at you, they are inviting you to move closer. You have the signals, you have the biological aspects, you have the psychological aspects, but if you don't have the mindset to put all of this into practice, knowing it won't do you any good. Because a sign is just a sign. It takes work to make it a reality. And here we must pause. This final shift in your mindset is what distinguishes successful men from those who merely pass through. Now you have a roadmap. Learn to read her breath, her gaze, her silence. But information without action is useless. The biggest mistake men make when they see these signs is asking for permission verbally. Asking, "Can I kiss you?" might seem polite, but it's a waste of time in the heat of the moment. It forces her to abandon her emotions and return to her senses. This is getting in the way. Instead of demanding, show respect, create momentum, and do it by following the 90-10 rule. Here's the rule. Support her 90%, close the distance, enter her room, but stay still. Let her complete the remaining 10%. This is the real test of the signals we just talked about. If she has even a 10% desire to meet you, that's a genuine and serious commitment. That's a real commitment. But if she stops or walks away, you have a ready answer without saying a single unnecessary word. Simply walk away with a smile and continue the conversation. There's no need to be offended. She's shown her trust in you by initiating the conversation without forcing anything, and she's shown you respect. Stop waiting for a text message. Stop looking for a clear sign. The signs are biological and happening right in front of you. Dilated pupils, calm warm breathing, and a triangular gaze all indicate that she's open to your advances. If this video helped you understand the attraction mechanism, I want you to try it. Now go to the comments and write the word sensitive. Let me know when you stop ignoring things and are ready to trust your instincts, because the worst part of rejection is looking back years later and realizing she was waiting for you all along. Don't be that person. Be careful.